Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of Hollywood Deep Dive. Yay! So this is our monthly podcast, which we will be discussing and taking a quote-unquote deep dive into actors' back catalog. Now, you might ask yourself what makes us different from the other movie podcasts out there. So the one thing that separates us from the rest is that every month we will be picking a new actor based on the fate of a bingo ball roller. So if you're not quite sure what it is, just bingo was too old for you. It's basically this ball that you put little plastic balls into with our actors' names, and every month someone gets a new actor in which we pick movies for our group members. So basically our choices every month are based on the Wheel of Fate. My name is Nicole Cabrera, and I will be one of your many hosts that will be hosting this podcast. So our podcast, along with being sort of a fate-driven podcast, is also going to be looking at actors' back catalogs. So two other rules that we have implemented, which kind of makes us a little bit different, is we have what is known as a deep dive double cross. So all of our group members are entitled to a deep dive double cross, which means that at any given point, if we like another group member's chosen actor, we are allowed to steal it from that person without their consent. So everyone is given one of these options, basically every sort of, we'll say, season of the podcast. And every group member is entitled to 2 vetoes, which means that if they do not like an actor or another group member has an actor that they prefer, they can take that actor away from them and their name goes back into the bingo ball. And they are once again given a chance to potentially get that actor in the future. But there's still no, guarantee that they will get the actor they like. So I'm going to introduce our group members, but before I do that, so 2 rules. We are going to be looking at many actors for over different decades and time periods. So our ground rule is that we are basing our discussions on an actor's acting merit, which means that an actor can be a horrible person in their real life. This is not the place that we will be discussing it, so please do not send us hate mail saying, I do not like this personal actor, or this person's a horrible person. We will not respond to any sort of messages that way. We are discussing only them as actors and their talent in that format. Otherwise, let's get started. So like I said, my name is Nicole Cabrera. I will be one of your principal hosts. And sitting to my left is Adriana Mendoza.
Hey.
So, Adriana, tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your feelings on Tom Hardy?
Babe. He is a babe. And about myself, well, I work with Nicole at TIFF, so we work together at the film festival in Toronto. And that's where we met, and our love of movies became a podcast, I guess, now. And yeah, I've just done a lot of things and also been on set as a second AC, production assistant, so know a little bit about the movies in the background and excited for this to take off.
Yeah, I believe the thing that we very first connected on was a joke about Andy Serkis.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to tell the audience about that?
You go.
Okay, so we had a joke about Andy Serkis, Mr. Serkis with all due respect. He's known for his work in Hollywood for basically his CGI work as, characters like Golem and the Apes and Planet of the Apes. But when we heard that he was doing the relaunch of the Planet of the Apes series, we had a joke that he had a pager specifically meant for when Hollywood needed him to be an ape of some sort, and he just dash off. So,
like, oh, sorry, my pager's going off. Let's go.
Hollywood needs me to play an ape, and that was our bonding and cementing moment in our friendship.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so across from me is Jordan Batiste. Jordan, what do you do, and how do you feel about Brad Pitt?
I think he's a pretty cool dude. My name's Jordan. I'm a librarian, but I've also volunteered at the TIFF Festival for a couple of years. I've probably seen the least movies of everyone here, so I'm very excited to catch up on a lot of movies that I should have already seen and hearing everyone's opinions about them.
Awesome, great. And last but most certainly not least, we have our friend Sam Cunningham. So she's going to be one of our other regular hosts. So Sam, tell everyone what you do and how you feel about the color purple.
Like the color?
The actual color, not the film.
I very much like purple, as you haven't noticed with my pens being all purple and everything else, and I mark in purple because I'm a teacher.
Tell us a little more about yourself.
I love history, I'm a history nerd, and I'm probably going to notice that I'll be like, that's not historically accurate, or that's not how you dig things up, what are you doing? So, yeah, other than that.
So ladies and gentlemen, she'll be here to bring the facts to our movies. If you hear her jump in being like, that's not right, well, it's probably Sam. Okay, so let's get started. So for our first roll of the bingo ball roller, I suppose, so we were given our first actors. So how we are going to work is we are reviewing 5 movies from these actors' catalog, chosen by the rest of our teammates. We are also doing written reviews. So what also kind of separates us is we're keeping the written word live as well. So you can read our reviews online. We'll talk about our physical blog at the end. And so if you can't get enough of us, you can also read us as well. So let's get started. So my chosen actress was Rose McGowan. So she was my first role of the bingo ball. And I have several movies of hers that I reviewed. So the first movie that we're going to talk about, So the first movie we're going to talk about is a movie called The Sound from 2017. So this is written and directed by director Jenna Mattinson. So it stars Rosa McGowan, Christopher Lloyd, Richard Gunn, and Michael Eklund. So this movie is filmed here in Toronto. Unfortunately, all being Torontonians, this is its only saving merit as a film. This is the saving grace of the movie, as I said. It is one of the worst possible movies I've ever seen, and this is coming from someone who notoriously looks for bad movies, especially on their off time.
You think? Always bad movies.
Always bad movies. Usually the badder, the worse, the better.
Don't you go on Netflix and find, the worst horror movie?
I do. When I'm having a bad day, I will deliberately go out of my way and be like, what is the worst movie possible? I'm gonna watch it.
Audience, she's a masochist.
So, yeah, we will learn that. So, this movie basically looks at Rosa McGowan as the lead, and she's sort of like a paranormal investigator, and she goes to Bay Station. So if you're not a Torontonian, Bay Station is basically known for being the haunted subway station in Toronto. And that's because the new workable station is built over the old one. Now, the old station is kind of used for film sets and music videos now, but it has this reputation for being haunted. And in the most cliche way, it's the quote-unquote First Nations or Indigenous burial ground, which is said to be under the subway. So this is the theme they kind of go with for this movie. She's a paranormal investigator. She goes down to Bay Station. First of all, I'm not one to point out, kind of big plot holes. The biggest plot hole is that no one stops her. She literally just goes down to the station, the door is unlocked, and she just goes. Secondly, the big driving point of this whole movie is her internet connection. She somehow has good internet connection in a dead subway station when we, as Torontonians, don't even have good Wi-Fi connection in working subway stations. And the whole movie has this irritating habit of trying to be modern, so it has the pop-up texts as she's live tweeting her finds. So it's #ghost, #haunted station for the whole almost 2 hours of this movie. So this movie basically is a bit of a mess. The only sort of other random point is that Christopher Lloyd is in it, and I don't know how probably the whole budget of the movie went to paying him, but he's this odd ghost man that lives in the station for no context whatsoever. And basically, her husband suddenly cares about her halfway through the movie, which, again, you don't know why or where this came from. He rushes off to Toronto to rescue her. There's a random cop that shows up 3/4 into the movie, again, with no context, and he goes crazy in the subway in about 2 seconds. And the whole the whole plot is, I have Wi-Fi, now I don't. I have Wi-Fi, now I don't.
That is the true horror story of any millennial. I don't have Wi-Fi, how dare I?
Yeah, except we're not in haunted subway stations. So I think... so this movie was just trying very hard to be creepy, and it was not successful in the least. And I think the other comment I made was, as I'm looking at my notes, is I wrote several times, this makes no sense, this feels like the early 2000s. And I feel like that kind of wraps up the movie at all. It's a no-nonsense movie, and it's kind of a waste of time.
When was it made?
2017.
Oh, I thought this was like 2001.
No, I thought it was 2004 until I looked it up. I actually have written here, is this 2004? It is not. It makes no sense.
Okay.
So, it is a mess of a movie. And I'm usually not one to kind of nitpick about how long a movie is. There were several moments where it says... it's only 20 minutes in, it's only 40 minutes in, because this movie felt like it was going on for decades. So I would not recommend this movie at all. My last comment on it was just trash. So this movie is...
Cue Forky going, trash!
Yes. In the words of Forky from Toy Story 4, if you've seen it, this movie is absolute trash, and not even in a redeemable way. So it's just a mess of a movie. Have you guys seen this movie before, even heard of it?
I never even heard of this.
Nope. Not until you
This was definitely... I rated it a half a star. If I could get it less than that, I probably would.
Shall we use integers and say it's a -2 stars?
Sure.
There you go.
Okay, so what else I looked at for her? So very briefly, she was in an episode also that I got of Ultimate Spider-Man. She played Medusa. So it was a very brief role. It was kind of like a kid's show. It was entertaining for what it is. But she's basically just there to kind of be one of the Eternals. Her role is very brief. She does kind of her posh British accent thing. It's kind of in and out, no more than really 5 minutes or so. So she was enjoyable for what it was, but it also wasn't kind of like, a long-lasting performance. I think I was kind of more impressed by the other characters in the episode. I kind of wish she was in it a little bit longer.
That's because that is an amazing animation show. Deal with it.
Okay. I have not watched it, so that is some validation there from Sam. So yes, the only comment I have on that is not even with her character. I just have the saltiness off the Inhumans is the best. So not even with her in regards to her character, but yeah, I guess if you're looking for kind of like that sly, sarcastic humor, Ultimate Spider-Man is where it is at.
It totally is.
My next movie is a movie from 2000 called The Last Stop, which is more appropriate for, it seems like a 2000 movie, unlike the sound. So this one is starring Callum Keith. Rose McGowan is our female lead. Adam Beach and Jurgen. How do you pronounce his last name? Prochnow. I'm sorry, Jurgen. So this is kind of like your atypical Locked in the Mountains sort of movie. So they live in a snowy town, a la sort of Twin Peaks. There's even a weird cafe where they serve pie.
So it's not directed by David Lynch.
It's not directed by David Lynch. David Lynch, they're coming for your label. And basically everyone is snowed into this hotel. There's only one highway in and one highway out, so they can't leave. And there's a murder in this hotel.
As it is.
So Adam Beach is our lead, and he is basically the sheriff of this small area. And he finds this murder and has to find out who it is. And there's kind of like, your usual suspects vibe. So there's this, there's an African-American truck driver who's kind of very stereotypical. There's, his sort of buddy that's kind of slow-witted. And, like, again, the most stereotypical way. Rosa McGowan plays your sort of femme fatale, so she's the lost love of Adam Beach's life, who's kind of come back into the picture. She's gone off to Los Angeles to be a movie star, and she's come home, and he's, like, automatically enamored with her, thinks she's the most stunning thing ever, and then, like, falls instantaneously back in love with her. And so basically, while he's trying to maneuver falling in love with her, they're trying to solve who committed this murder. There's this sort of weird sort of lack of respect for policing. So, like, people are just touching dead bodies and picking people up. And I'm like, okay. Apparently that goes out the window in this town. There's, again, your very stereotypical kind of meathead, sort of asshole criminal types. There are these two brothers, and then there's a very kind of gross relationship of an older man and a young woman, and you do you, but she's like barely 18 and he's in his 50s, and they spend the whole movie kind of having sex or making out, and he's like groping her, and it's just like, keep your hands to yourself, dude. So that's what they do as characters. So it's basically kind of unraveling in that aspect. And it's going pretty steady, but at one point to the another, it kind of falls apart. And somehow, some way, spoiler alert, McGowan turns out to be the bad guy.
Wait, she's the murderer?
She's the murderer. So she's involved in some sort of money heist with the two twin brothers that are douchebags. And she and them are together, and basically they're planning to steal the money. And this comes out of nowhere, so I'm just as shocked as Adam Beach is. And
poor Adam Beach.
Yeah, his poor guy, he gets betrayed. And he
always gets betrayed.
And he gets shot, and like horribly. And it's kind of like, okay. And the movie just kind of ends with him getting shot, and they find her dead with no motivation, no answer. Everybody pretty much dies, except for his friend. And that's how the movie ends. And I was like, did I fall asleep? Did I
miss something?
Did I go into a coma? Like, I was like...
You don't see how she dies?
No. Like, she's like, ha ha ha, I betrayed you. And then, like, she runs off with the money, and, like, he goes to, like, avenge, I guess, the town himself. I don't know. And nothing happens. And I was just kind of like, I was like, okay. The one true gem that came out of this movie was the line, why don't you go play hide and go fuck yourself? Which...
So, that's going to be a new statement.
Yes.
I approve.
Yeah, so hide and go fuck yourself was the best line that came out of this movie.
So pretty much wraps up the movie itself.
Yes. Yeah, basically this movie was like hide and go fuck yourself, because it makes no sense. She was quite strong in it, but the rest of the actors, like, everyone was clearly trying their best, but besides that, it was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last one was clearly my favorite, was Planet Terror. So Planet Terror is directed by Robert Rodriguez. So it has...
That is so obvious. You're going to love it. We already know because of the name. It's a horror movie.
The audience doesn't know this.
Yeah, okay.
They will.
They will, though. Okay. So it has Rosa McGowan, Freddie Rodriguez, Josh Brolin, Naveen Andrews, Jeff Fahey, and a lot of other actors. So this is kind of Rodriguez's and Tarantino's sort of homage to the grindhouse cinema scene. And basically they did a double bill. If you've seen Death Proof, they go together in the same universe. And basically, this movie is just wonderful. It knows what it wants to be. It's supposed to be campy and outrageous and ridiculous to the most extreme. And so McGowan plays... she's a dancer. Her name is Cherry Darling, and she basically wants to be like a professional dancer, not like a burlesque dancer. And she lives in kind of this shitty town, and she keeps telling everybody she's going to get out and she's going to be famous. And the movie kind of revolves around this small town, and outside of it, there's basically this zombie outbreak. And it kind of invades the town and starts infecting people. And it basically turns into your atypical, whatever, like, zombie movie. So she in particular is really good in this. She's badass. She's a leading lady. She has great chemistry with Freddie Rodriguez, who plays her romantic lead. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. I'd seen it originally when it came out, like, it came out in 2007. And this is my first time rewatching it since then. And I found it to be just as much fun. All the actors seem to be, like, kind of living for it. And it almost feels like they want to go back to those days where they used to be able to make movies like this. And, like, even here in Toronto, we used to have a grindhouse theater. And it used to be, like, 3 movies for, like, $5 or something like that. And it used to be, like, where all the shady people hung out. And Rodriguez and Tarantino play really hard into the gritty, the dirty. Mm-hmm. If you're not okay kind of, like, with the sexual aspects and, like, the horror and, like, sort of, like, the slimy feel of these movies, maybe not the best pick for you, but otherwise, I'd say for me, it's probably the best.
Loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was as much fun as it was the first time. And then my last 7 movies, I watched 2 episodes of this show, Once Upon a Time. So Once Upon a Time is, the sort of fairy tale movie. And this fairy tale movie basically, they forget their memories. They're all displaced in a modern era. But these 2 episodes with McGowan, she plays the young version of the evil queen's mother. And so I kind of lost the plot with the series maybe about 5 seasons in, but I would say that she's
farther than that.
Yeah. But I'd say she's one of the highlights of this season. So she's acts her ass off in this. So she's across from Robert Carlyle a lot of these episodes. Yeah. And she's wonderful. So she plays so she's the evil queen's mother, and basically she comes from poverty. She wants to be rich. She wants to be married to the prince. And they won't let her because she's so poor. She's the miller's daughter. And basically she makes a deal with Rumpelstiltskin to give her firstborn, as is like kind of the fairy tale. And he teaches her how to spin gold. And kind of like this weird twist, they kind of fall in love. And he's more into her than she is into him. Yeah.
How many characters does he fall in love with?
A lot. He gets busy in this series.
Yeah, he's a player.
Yeah. For a guy who has weird molten skin, he gets it on a lot.
Until he meets Belle.
Pardon? Until he meets Belle, yeah. So, yeah, and then she kind of... So it makes it look like she's going to leave the prince for him, and, like, he's really into her, but ultimately she decides to stay with the prince, and he's, like, betrayed by this. So McGowan, like, I would actually say she acts her ass off in these. She's a very strong lead, and, like, you feel her presence.
Also, it's kind of a hard part to play because the older version of the evil queen, she's, like, really good.
Exactly.
She's fantastic. So that's hard to play with, like, the same mannerisms, the same kind of character, but a little bit softer.
Yeah, and Carlisle's kind of a powerhouse actor to be across from. He kind of chews scenery in a lot of movies that he's in. So she has to be able to kind of hold her own to be able to go toe-to-toe with him, and she does it really well. So I definitely say that... like, the later seasons in the series are not the best, but she's definitely one of the standouts. And, like, I was completely kind of into, like, the whole episode while she was in it.
When she gets a good script and, like the good, powerful female lead, she knocks it out.
I think that's definitely what I'm taking away from this, is that she's definitely one of those actors that has wonderful potential when she's given good material to work with. And I feel like when she feels confident in it as well.
Yeah. Even in Charmed, she was really... I watched that show because of her.
Yes.
Back in the day.
So, yeah, I feel like when she has that sort of confidence, she's really good in the role that she wants to play. And, like, with that and Planet Terror, she definitely kind of brings her A game, and she's, like, in that lead and you believe it.
Yeah.
She was just in it for a paycheck for the sound.
I don't even know if they paid her for that. I think that all went to Christopher Lloyd.
Maybe she was doing him a favor.
Maybe she...
Why am I in this? Oh, right, I owe him a favor. God damn it.
He's probably like, why am I in this? Oh, right, money. Because there's no reason that anybody should be in that. I felt bad even for the B actors in it. It was like, you poor souls. And like, somebody told you you're going to be in a famous movie and you believe them.
You're going to be in a movie with Christopher Lloyd. It's going to be amazing. Oh no. No, it was not.
Okay, and yeah, those are my movies. So yeah.
I feel like you definitely got the deep dive of them all. Because like, I haven't even heard of like half of those that you got.
Yeah, mine are all pretty well known.
So I would say for myself, a movie that I would never see again would be The Sound. I think that's a given at this point. Yeah. Something that surprised me. I thought she was really good. I think those Once Upon a Time episodes really surprised me because I didn't expect her to be like that much of a sort of a stand-up performance. And I recommend that, like, if you're into the series or you just kind of want to get into her and see what she's like. She really is kind of out there, especially in sort of like that sort of Victorian regale. She really looks she fits into that era. She has a face for that time period. And definitely Planet Terror, if you're in it for sort of a brainless action movie with kind of grit and glam and whatnot. I recommend that one. And overall, I was not sure what I was getting into, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Okay, so let's move on to Adriana. So who did you get? Tell us about
I
him.
got Steve Buscemi, and I was actually
Buscemi,
so pumped. Yeah. I actually just love this guy. He's so good at his, like his characters and being the kind of like the oddball, very quirky. And so when I did my deep dive, we really went back in time to like his early days.
So what's his earliest one you got there?
I think the earliest one I have here is actually his first, I think, real part. It was called Parting Glances from 1986.
Okay.
And this one was my favorite.
Okay.
It was just like why we do the deep dive. It was like a gem of a movie, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So basically, Steve Buscemi plays a man living with AIDS in Manhattan, and he's kind of not neglectful of himself, but he's trying to stay positive, but he's not as the big socialite and kind of rock star life that he used to be in.
Okay.
And I guess it's his former lover, Michael, played by Richard Ganong. So Michael tries to take care of him. He's trying to be his best friend, but they're definitely former lovers, and you can tell that they still kind of like each other.
Okay.
But Michael's distancing himself because he knows like
the end is coming.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very
that's tough.
like heartwarming movie, but it sounds very depressing, but it was actually done in a very like uplifting way. So it kind of starts out in like a party scene in Manhattan, and you get to see all the different characters, and Steve Buscemi just steals like every scene. It's a very low budget movie, but he's just very quirky, and he's wearing his kind of like rock star 50s look, and I was just like loving it.
I haven't even seen it, and for that visual alone, I'm already.
Yeah, I know. It was just like done.
Yeah.
But it was really well done. It was very romantic in parts, and the ending was just fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want to spoil it too much, but that was a real gem, and it's called Parting Glances, and yeah, I can see why his career took off from this part, and this is what got him into the other roles. So, and then the other ones, one funny one was Lonesome Dove, the TV series from 1989, and so I watched like 4 parts of this, and it was starring Robert Duvall. I think it was pretty big at the time, but I'm trying to find his role, and he was in it for like 5 minutes.
No.
He's just like the little like country like henchman who's like very odd in his overalls, and then becomes like very violent when he sees women, and I was like, okay, so he was just, I mean, he got into character, really well.
Maybe like discriminately,
but then,
so.
Yes.
Gotcha.
The other one, I had Spy Kids 2, Island of Lost Dreams from 2002.
Yes.
Yes. Right? Round of applause right there. Yeah, he's so great as like the mad scientist and the villain of this
Oh man,
Spy Kids franchise.
He has just like everything about him in that movie is just fantastic.
Yeah, like just the way he's hunched over and he's like the, the mad scientist and he's
Everything about that movie is great.
Oh.
what's that great line he says about? He's like, do you think that God stays in heaven because he fears what he created or something like that?
Yeah.
And I was just like
very godlike, and he's like, I'm afraid of everything.
And I was like, this is
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like the deep. I'm like, this is a kids movie, Steve Buscemi. Let's
Yeah.
tone it down, man.
I still get that
So-
gif on my Tumblr every now and again.
Yeah,
Every time Spy Kids comes up on Tumblr, I'm like, yeah.
I think that's my favorite of the Spy Kids franchise.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. But he's just so good at like being a character actor. He just gets right in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not afraid. So yeah, he played so many different parts. And the other one of note, which I personally loved, it's called Airheads from 1994. Okay, and it was amazing. Okay, can I just say?
You heard it here first, folks. First, folks. Amazing.
So this was just great. I had never come across this one for some reason, but
So who's in this one with him?
right up my alley. So it's starring Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi, and there were 3 guys in a band. So they're in like a heavy rock metal band.
Okay.
And Brendan Fraser thinks like he's gonna make it big, but it starts out he's like down on his luck. His girlfriend leaves him because he's never gonna get off the couch, basically.
Right.
But it was just like a really fun-loving comedy.
Yeah.
Starring these 3 guys, and Steve Buscemi, of course, comes out in like ripped jeans, and like he's like the lead guitarist, and he's just like rocking out with Brendan Fraser, and it's just such a good, fun
That's
comedy.
Interesting cast with Adam Sandler also.
Yeah, he was actually
How's Adam Sandler?
he was actually good.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
That's kind of the shocking part about
I
this
think
movie.
Some of his
No
other
offense,
stuff
Mr.
were-
Sandler.
Under surprises, that's what surprised
To
me.
surprise you, was
Yeah.
Adam Sandler in this
It was a
movie?
very odd trio, but it worked. And I think it was like
That's
when
really
Adam Sandler
interesting.
wasn't like he's not like a main focus. He's kind of like
Okay.
the third one and kind of just
Gotcha.
appears once in a while. So maybe that's why.
Maybe like that's why he's kind of
Yeah, but
better.
it was fun. It was really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this like a movie that's going to give me like secondhand embarrassment every 2 seconds?
Yeah,
Copy that and watching it.
She's like, yeah.
but yeah, just very different ones that I had never seen. Because obviously, I love him in Desperado and
Yeah.
Fargo, like all his big major movies.
Yeah.
But this was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so I recommend Airheads for sure. Something good in the summer to watch with your friends, and
It would be like a good summer movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Give me a fan to fan myself while I get secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah. Who needs air conditioning? Just have such a man embarrassment to get you going.
if you smoked, you're great.
Yeah. Woo! Oh my god. Okay. Anything else?
I did have you guys gave me Miller's Crossing, but he's a great movie from 1990 starring Gabriel Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
But he again, I'm like 2
Very
hours
brief.
in, and I'm like, okay, where's Steve Buscemi? So he has a great cameo for like 2 minutes, and he just literally walks in. He's like, blah, 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 blah,
And he's gone.
and then he's just like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
A blink and you'll miss
But
a
like
moment.
he doesn't stop talking. Like he's trying to talk to Gabriel Byrne's character.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what are you gonna do about it? Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So he has like that like old fashioned talk, and he's like in this like smoky bar, and then that was it. And then Gabriel Byrne's like, yeah, I'll talk to you later.
And then he's gone.
Yeah.
And you don't see him again for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. So I think he was just hired to speak very quickly.
Okay.
With an accent.
And
And like
he's
look
in
like
and
he's from
out.
that time period.
And
Yeah.
GTFO.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
But really good.
So yeah. So you said you'd recommend Airheads?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, the one that surprised me a lot was well, and I guess I would recommend too is
Yeah.
Parting Glances.
Okay.
But that's like a very different tone, but it was just really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've even
Like
heard
before,
of that one before.
Dallas Buyers,
Mm-hmm.
way
Or, like-
before that, it's kind of that.
Oh, cool.
So it's like him dealing with AIDS, but in a more optimistic way.
Okay. So what's the one with Tom Hanks, Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a more positive version of.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
But it has like, and it's like more sincere, it's like more romantic, it's like a lower scale.
Right, and
lower
you were
budget.
saying that this is the director's only movie, right?
Yeah, so the sad thing I heard about found out about this was the director made this movie because he had AIDS himself, and so after the movie, he actually passed away.
Let's do that.
Yeah, and it was a shame because he is very talented, you can tell, and great casting, and just you can tell there's a lot of heart in this movie.
Yeah.
So, like, it does get you very emotional, yeah. And when I found out, I was like, oh no, because I really like this movie. I wanted to see more.
Yeah, that's a pity. Yeah, that's happened to me before. You really like the director, and you get into their work, and then there was a Polish director from a couple years ago. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he did this excellent movie for the film festival called Demon, and it was all into practical effects. And I came at that movie and I was like, I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he committed suicide a few days after his movie premiered.
Marcin Barona?
I believe so,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right. I apologize.
But he committed suicide a few days after his movie premiered, and it was just like, it was kind of like devastating. I was like, that was like kind of a new voice in film that I was really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah. So that was like this guy. Bill Sherwood was the director for Parting Glances, and he died at 37. So it was just, but in a way, it's nice that he got his movie out and was able to see it.
He saw something to remember him by.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so next is Jordan. So Jordan, what actor did you have? Tell us a bit about them.
So my actress was Patricia Arquette. My only exposure to her was through CSI Cyber.
Yes!
We have one woo from our group member, but okay.
Hey!
So that was a spin-off of CSI where she kind of led a team of essentially to handle more, like, I guess, technological cases that involved, like, hacking, that kind of thing. Very short-lived series. I remember there being a lot of controversy about the actual plausibility of these plots actually happening, but I was still entertained.
I feel like that's kind of a given with a CSI show in general, though. I remember how many people wanted to get into forensics when CSI premiered, and someone wanted to be like, that's not what it's like. It's not like the show. Please stop trying to get into school for this, because it's not, and you're going to be disappointed.
Detectives are on the field, the CSI people are stuck in a lab.
Yeah.
I was one of those people who was like, ooh, maybe I should go into that.
So for me, it was really interesting to kind of see her earlier stuff. So I started, the earliest one I have is an episode from Tales from the Crypt, which was one of those episodic horror shows in the 90s, which you don't really have anymore, I don't think.
No, not really.
Or I guess the Twilight Zone recently is rebooting.
Well, apparently they were supposed to do Tales from the Crypt again, but now it's stuck in developmental hell because they can't get, like, all the episodes are filmed,
right,
and they can't get it
weird.
out. Because M. Night Shyamalan is supposed to be doing that, and like he apparently got like a bunch of actors, so like actors like Brad Pitt and like other actors who in the original one have come back to do an episode of the new one.
Oh, that's cool.
And the last I heard of it, it was in developmental hell, so they're all filmed, but for some odd reason he can't get them out.
Oh, so no one's picking it up to distribute it.
I think it's that, but is it something else too? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Well, I wanted to start that discussion just because, like, I don't feel like there's any more really of those episodic horror shows, because, like, we used to have, like, this, Goosebumps. So
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Yes.
So essentially these are just, like, standalone episodes with a horror theme. So in this episode, Arquette is playing, like, she's, like, trapped on this farm where she's, like, a worker. But one of her... So basically there's her, this lady who kind of owns the farm, and then there's another guy who's... he's very off, like, he's kind of, like, kind of like that, like the dim-witted assistant to the main villain.
Yeah.
Right. Like the little henchman.
Yeah. So he keeps trying to make the moves on Arquette's character, but she also is a little crazy too, because there's like this scarecrow in the field, but at night the scarecrow comes alive.
Oh.
And and so she like dances with the scarecrow, and she like falls in love with the scarecrow.
With the scarecrow.
Yes.
Why?
I mean, like, I know her choices in men are slim, but that's kind of desperate.
That's a nope.
Okay, so she falls in love with the scarecrow.
Yeah, but the head ranch lady keeps getting upset that she's wasting time with the scarecrow instead of working.
I mean,
Get
fair enough.
to work. Stop.
Wait. So is this literally a quote unquote a roll in the hay because she's with the scarecrow?
I guess so.
Well then.
I'll be here all week.
Time to harvest.
Yeah, harvesting something.
Anyways.
So at the end, so she's gonna so she wants to run off with the scarecrow, and then at night when she's with the scarecrow, you suddenly see the head farm lady comes out from behind it, and she's like, "It's not real," and then she like stabs the scarecrow.
Oh my god!
And then it turns out it was the other ranch worker,
the creepy guy.
Yeah, he was dressing up as a scarecrow.
Oh.
So she kills him.
Oh my god.
And
Well, it's Tales of the Crypt. It's supposed to be scary.
That's intense.
And then just after she kills him and she gets shocked, Arquette kills her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she runs off.
And that's
like
how it ends?
escaping the farm.
Okay.
So it's very, that campy 90s horror episodic.
That sounds great.
Vibe. It didn't age well because it's super campy, but it was still interesting
Fair.
to see her, like, one of her early stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she must have been super young.
Yeah. Let's see, 1990, so...
That actually sounds like a good episode, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halloween time? Yeah.
What else did you have, Jordan?
So, I also had... Sorry, I was just trying to find her age, but her birthday's not on.
I'll go hunting for that. You continue reading.
Yeah, keep going, Jordan.
Alright. So next I had actual good movie.
Hooray.
So True Romance.
Yes.
Wasn't
Which
you
she
who
was
made me
in.
watch that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, audience, how we spent our Valentine's Day this year is both Adriana and Sam came over to my house and we watched True Romance.
Oh my god.
So go ahead, Jordan.
Alright, so she was in this with Christian Slater, Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
My man.
So,
Audience,
audience, just for the FYI, we are very big Christian Slater enthusiasts. So, in fact, Jordan and I were discussing this off mic, I guess, and he said, "I hope I get Christian Slater for my next pick," and I said, "You're gonna have to fight me and Adriana for him." So,
Based off this movie alone, I wish I was
we
talking
are-
about his character instead.
we are very
alright.
big enthusiasts. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Not to doubt on her character, because she was very interesting too.
Yes.
It's just his character was the main driving force of the movie.
Yeah, and he's actually a lead in that one, right? So.
Yeah.
continue.
So she's so the movie in the movie, like, Christian Slater's like he's a character who he's a bachelor, so he's trying to so he like goes into bars, he talks to women, really into Elvis, and so one night he goes to the movie and then he runs into Arquette's character named Alabama, and they see me and they hit it off. They have the same interests. They talk. They go back to his place, but then it turns out that she was paid by his boss to sort of give him, his one night on his birthday, like a good night. But she's sad because, like, she was paid to do this, but she genuinely likes him.
Right.
But she's worried about her pimp not being happy
Rightly so.
with her wanting to be with someone else.
Right.
And so Christian Slater does what does what men do and goes and kills the pimp.
Understandable, I think.
And then when he comes back, and at she's shocked about what he did, but then but then she's happy to be able to be free from him.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting to kind of see like her shift in personality, because she feels very genuine, overly nice at the beginning, and then after this point, when he kills the pimp and then they go on the run, then you kind of there's like just like this 180 flip in her character. She's like overly happy, very ditzy, kind of like over in love with him.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, she's like super infatuated with
Yeah.
him. So I think you're overlooking one of the weirdest cameos though in this movie is Gary Oldman as her pimp.
Oh,
With his ridiculous like Rastafarian dreadlocks and like this odd scene where like they have like a confrontation in his house that's like red and full of mirrors. And and when you're watching it, Adriana was like, "Where's Gary Oldman?" I'm like, "That's Gary Oldman." She's like, "That's Gary Oldman." So
He is the chameleon, and let's just remember it is 1993, so yes, it's technically not okay, but whatever.
yeah, I mean, like again, speaking of directors that passed away, rest in peace, Tony Scott. It is definitely an epitome of its time. A lot of the humor in this movie would not fly by today's standards.
Oh, definitely, especially when Christian Slater's dad gets captured by the mafia guy.
Oh, God. Who's playing his dad in this movie?
I will go look it up. Also, going back to the
Christopher Walken.
Is it Walken?
Oh no, he's the bad guy.
It's
no, hold. What is it?
Yeah, for those of you who
Dennis
haven't
Hopper.
There we go. Whoever
Also,
cast Hopper as his father, brilliant casting, because they actually do look like father and son in this movie. Like they look related.
Yeah.
And the scene that always makes me laugh is the scene where Alabama kisses him, and he's like, "She does taste like peaches." God damn.
Yeah, not me today.
Peaches or strawberries?
I think it's peaches.
Are you sure you're not just having peaches on the mind?
No, I think it's actually peaches.
Okay.
Sorry, Jordan.
So for those who don't know, it turns out that when they killed the pimp, they actually also stole a bunch of drugs from him. And so the police is after them, and the mafia who was going to get the drugs is also after them. And they... so that's where the kidnapping scene with his dad comes in. So that was a very good movie. Really enjoyed that one.
So just going back to the Tales of the Crypt, she would have been 22 years old according to my math. Might be slightly off.
Wow.
Baby.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, that's really young. What else did she look at, Jordan?
So then there was another one called Holy Matrimony.
Okay.
Starring her with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, wow.
But he's a kid in this movie, so...
Oh, okay.
I was thinking, like not oh wow. It's like oh wow.
And directed by Leonard Nimoy, so that was kind of interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
What? He directed something?
Yeah.
like Spock.
Yes, Spock.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So in this movie, so something a little off note that I thought was kind of funny is that like the beginning of this movie kind of seemed like the first two movie and TV show I just saw like mashed together because so in this character's named Havana, and she works.
She didn't in Alabama, Havana.
Alabama, yeah. She's gonna be named after every major city. Jeez.
Can we name her Toronto next?
So in the opening movie, she works at a county fair, and she works together with one of her co-workers to rob the ringmaster of the money in the safe, and they both run off, which is kind of like the ending of True Romance.
Oh, it's kind of like True Romance. Okay, yeah.
And then it turns out that the co-worker, they go hide in Canada with his family, which is like an Amish community.
Okay.
So now she's stuck on a farm.
Heads back to the Scarecrow. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is this where she meets Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's the brother of the coworker that she ran off with.
Oh, okay.
And so what happens is that he so they hide the money. So only sorry. Let me just collect my thoughts for a moment. So what happens is that the brother goes into town. Okay, so they're in this Amish community.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's very, very old school. So like like the women have to like dress very modest. They do all the chores
Right.
and stuff. So she has to be married to her coworker.
Okay.
But then one day when he goes out to town, he gets into a car accident and dies. And and the traditions of their community is that when the husband dies, the wife has to marry the brother.
Right.
Who's Joseph
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Kingsman Redeemers had that idea. Never mind.
Okay.
So basically it's kind of like, so basically they say that she has to marry him or she has to be exiled from the community.
Gotcha.
But she doesn't know where her coworker hid the money.
Right.
Oh.
So she doesn't want to marry the boy, but she has to, so she can stay and try to find where he put the money, so she can run off with the money.
Right.
Oh my god.
But then it turns out that so the place where he hid the money is like where his and his brother's secret hiding spot. So he finds where the money is, and he finds out. Oh, that's why she's
here.
Right.
Yeah, because she. So basically, what he does is, because she refuses to do any of the chores.
Yeah.
Because she's modern.
Yeah.
A modern woman. She doesn't want to do all that. So like. What he does is he starts hiding the money around the place, like so, like he like hids some in the flower bed because like she's supposed to weed the flower bed.
Okay.
And then so he hides the money there and he pretends that I just found some money in the flower bed.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll start doing the.
Oh my
get
So
God.
like
money.
as she works, she goes find
So
the
it's like
money.
her
Yeah.
reward.
Oh my god.
So he tries to make it look like he hid the money around to get her to do the work.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Smart little guy.
But eventually she catches on and finds out that he knows where the money is.
Uh-huh.
So the two of them work together to kind of, so in this movie, like he's like a devout follower of their religion, so he wants to do the right thing. So he tells everyone about the money that they found. And he said that the right thing to do is to return it.
Mm-hmm.
So he and Patricia Arquette both leave the town to go back to the circus to return
the money.
But there's also a police officer who's on the case to try to find out where the stolen money ended up.
Yeah, this is like a weird combination of the other
Yeah,
two.
that is weird.
Okay. She definitely has a theme going on.
Yeah.
Named after weird cities or states. Into farms. Into
Getting
people
in
she
trouble with
shouldn't
the
be.
law.
Yeah, getting in trouble with the law. And into people that she should not be in relationships with.
Including inanimate objects.
Yeah.
And and so basically turned out the cop wants to kill them both so he can take the money and run.
Mm-hmm.
And then but then they stop him. They return the money. They end up going their separate ways, so they don't stay married. We don't have any weird relationship between the two of them. But like, they have a very
marrying them.
But they do have a very nice friendship in the movie. Like, I think
Okay.
they play off each other very well.
And Joseph
very
Gordon-Levitt is like really young in this,
Yeah.
right?
12
Yeah.
years old during filming.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, in my mind, he's
I'm very
always-
happy they didn't go that route.
Yeah, I would hope so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can actually watch this movie. It's good.
Yeah, they just have like a very cute friendship.
Yeah,
in the movie,
that's-
which is
Okay, that
good.
sounds cute.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What else? Or is that it?
No, so I also had holes.
Yes!
So,
I love that movie.
It was a
The
very
Shia LaBeouf
enthusiastic. It's
I know
pronounced
some-
Shia LaBeouf.
so I know some people have issues with him. But so this was one of his earlier movies in 2003.
Damn.
So in this movie, so Patricia Arquette is more of part of the backstory of this movie. She's not one of the main characters or in the current plot, but but her story is like a big reason as to why.
Keep going.
Is a big reason as to why a lot of the main plot is happening. So essentially, Shia LaBeouf gets into trouble. He has to gets in trouble with the law for stealing some shoes, and he gets sent to this sort of internment camp.
Mm-hmm. For some odd reason, I always confuse Holes with that owl one. Hoot. Yeah.
Hoot is also a guilty pleasure of mine.
And I don't,
it has Coulson in it.
I don't think Hoot had
Agent
Shia
Coulson?
LaBeouf. Yeah.
Yeah, Agent Coulson is the bad guy in Hoot.
I mean, he's a bad guy in a lot of movies. I think Agent Coulson is one of those rare movies that he's a good guy.
He's trying to kill the poor little burrowing owls who are adorable and need not be hurt.
Yeah, see,
Anyways, back to
Shia LaBeouf is not in the movie, correct me, right?
No, he is not.
Okay.
It's,
I think they came out around the same time.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
No,
Oh,
they
no.
did not. Okay. See, in my
Maybe I
mind,
just see them in
Holes and
Walmart on the same shelf.
yeah, I don't
It's
know.
because the H's are next to each other. Anyways,
Well, that makes sense because
Holes,
HOL and
hoots.
HOO.
And maybe because they're both about the ground and things in the ground.
One's treasure, one's not.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, sorry.
Yes,
continue.
continue.
Yeah, so he gets sent to this juvenile detention what's the word I'm looking for?
Like
Juvenile
facility.
detention center?
Yeah,
It's-
where they have to dig holes essentially.
Uh-huh.
Have them do hard labor, think about what they did. But what it turns out is that the owner of this camp wants there's treasure hidden somewhere in this desert, and that's the true reason why she has the kids digging holes. It's because she wants that treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole reason of the treasure is there in the first place is because of the backstory with Arquette's character.
I can fix that. That makes me cry.
So her character's name is Catherine, and she was a schoolhouse teacher. So while she was there, there's a lot of people who were trying to get her attention. But the only guy who was able to get her attention was this handyman who would come around town. He would sell food. He would do repairs on the schoolhouse, and they kind of slowly budding romance. But this is obviously in old times, and he's black.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't like that.
Racism.
It
To put it
existed.
bluntly, yes.
It still exists. Taught your parents.
And so one of the someone in the town saw the two of them kissing, and for that he was put to death.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That I don't remember.
Yeah, no, they killed him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
See, again, I am clearly confusing this with the owls, or I blanked it out because it was traumatic.
It was traumatic.
It was
So-
and
I never-
I considered it a kids movie, but
Watching
looking
it
back
now?
watching now, yeah, it's like wow.
Does this
that
seem
was-
more adult to you than kids?
just this backstory? seemed
Okay.
And
really
also,
cooler.
the way Sigourney Weaver's character basically nearly murders her own people working with her with the nails that had poison when it was still wet.
I have a vague recollection of
Yeah,
this.
she scratches his face.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good movie and book, but whew.
At my elementary school, what were you thinking when you had this on our reading list?
Same with my elementary school. Come on, seriously.
This does not strike me as child friendly. The more you discuss
remember
it.
we had to watch read The Outsiders, which is even worse than this.
I love The Outside. Okay, that's a whole different story.
Anyways! Disclaimer, we get on tangents.
So basically, she tries to get the attention of the sheriff. The sheriff's drunk and says, "Oh, it's against the law for him to kiss you." So he has to be put to death.
Mm-hmm.
Cries.
So what she does is, she takes on a persona named. So her original name is Catherine, and then she becomes a bandit, and her name is Kissin' Kate Barlow.
That's actually a pretty good name.
Yep.
So the whole thing is because he kissed you, he has to be put to death. So what she does is, she basically goes around to get revenge on everyone who wronged her, as well as to just steal things from other people in the area. She her signature is to kiss them before she kills them.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then to bring out the whole point of because she kissed the guy.
They know it's her.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And then and then so before she died, she buried the treasure somewhere in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells so one of the so two of the townspeople, one of the guys who pointed out who reported them to the authorities, wants to know where the treasure is like everything that she stole, and then she basically just says that your descendants will be digging in this desert forever and you'll never find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she kills herself with
Like a
with those-
lizard.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the
What?
species was. Yeah, but one of those lizards like with poison in its fangs, so she has it bite. Has it bite her, and then she dies.
Wow, that's kind of badass, but
It was a great movie.
Yeah, and then so that leads up to this plotline with Shia LaBeouf and how so the treasure they're digging for is the treasure that her character left behind.
okay.
And then eventually they do find the treasure, but Shia LaBeouf and his friend Zero get to keep it.
Was it in like a location that was like super obvious, or was it just like hard to find as she said it was?
Yeah, it was like hidden in by this rock formation. Kind of.
No, that's where the onions were.
Oh right, sorry.
No, it was just like in the ground.
Okay.
They dug. Yeah.
Okay.
Why do I know this story so well?
It was a good movie.
Okay.
I'd say.
Cool.
Yeah, so I said like I really thought it would have been interesting if her character was the focus of the movie.
Yeah, she seems like she has a really good backstory.
Kind of like she kind of gave like a Carmen Sandiego vibe. Kind of I felt.
Nice.
Okay.
She kicked ass.
And it was a shame too because she kind of like so like in the movie like kind of like all her escapades and stuff are kind of just shown through like short scenes and like newspaper clips flying around. Like it would have been nice if she kind of got
Yeah.
in the movie, but like that wasn't the focus of the movie again. But I thought she really stole the show in that part.
Pretty cool.
Alright, so and also like I guess I keep getting so in order to break the trend of her being an outlaw in all these movies, I decided to watch Boyhood. So that was
Okay.
Oh boy.
I mean,
So that
it'd be
one
kind of
was
funny
okay.
if she, like, halfway through the movie was like, heist, bye guys, bye Ethan Hawke, I'm gonna go rob banks now.
So what really sets this movie apart is that it was filmed over a 12-year period,
Mm-hmm.
so you get to see like all the actors age while the movie's going on. So in this movie, Arquette plays the mother of the main character, Mason,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of just it's a very different movie in that there's no sort of like overarching narrative or plot in the traditional sense. It's sort of just following Mason's life from early childhood to college. Kind of like the movie kind of like jumps from point to point in his life. Like he'll be like he starts out in elementary school and then like it jumps to when like his parents divorce, jumps to when they get remarried.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very interesting movie. Like kind of very interesting to see like the characters age like sort of as the movie goes on rather than they're just wearing like makeup to like look older kind of thing.
So, like, do they kind of go out of their way to make the actors, like, look like, quote-unquote, like, less glamorous or, like, more, like, regular people because, like, they're aging in real time?
It didn't feel like that to me. Like, I think they... Like, all the characters felt pretty down to earth.
Okay.
But, like, I don't... But because it was filmed over the 12-year period, I don't think they really need to do that too much.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there's a similar movie like that. Like, it has more, I guess it's more plot-driven, but there's a movie like that by director Thomas Vinterberg, and it's about this man who goes to prison, and it's basically, like, they filmed it something like 4 or 5 years apart, but basically he sees his kids after 5 years. So, and, like, they're all little ones, like 3, 4-ish, and it kind of looks at them and the gap that he's away in prison and like how they age with that progression and how they change. So the gap is smaller, but again, same sort of like real time aging vibe.
So actually, since my first exposure to Arquette was CSI Cyber, it's kind of interesting to see this because she kind of goes from like because she's younger at the beginning of the movie, and then by the end she kind of looks like how she does in CSI 7,
Uh-huh,
which I thought kind of like I'm watching her mature into because she's like the young mother in the movie.
Yeah.
Like you see her mature into who she is now.
And then she left Ethan Hawke to pursue a career and
Well, the parent in the CSI Cyber, her child does die, so...
AU, everyone, alternate
Everyone
universe.
Yeah.
But so she kind of she's like a mother in the movie. So she's so with a divorce and like she gets remarried several times through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting to see her kind of like she feels very real in this movie. Like, like if you were actually to watch, like I think if you. Like it looks like something like you could actually
like a real
relate
person.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She won an Academy Award for this movie, right?
I believe so. If not, she was nominated for it.
Definitely know she was nominated.
Cool. So is that everything?
Yeah. There was.
Okay. So would you?
That was a very interesting movie.
Would you recommend any of them?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend Boyhood. It was very it's slow, but I feel like it's very it's a different experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also recommend True Romance, obviously.
Yes. I'm gonna say you better.
Just
Where you might
just
have
be
two
prepared.
people murdering you from the other side of the table.
He became a Christian Slater fan because of True Romance.
Yeah.
Just remember the movie is a product of the times at certain scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Just deal with that.
Okay.
Of the movies, they're all like I don't think there's any I wouldn't want to see. Like
Cool. That's a
got a
kind
good
of
mix.
rare opportunity. Yeah. Glad that you enjoyed them. Okay. And overall you liked her as an actress?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think I kind of wish that she would do some kind of more adventurous things.
I guess
like how
looking
she
at four
used to.
for the movies I picked, she kind of has like the same.
She's typecasted.
Yeah.
But now she's kind of typecast as like the mother and like
It's Hollywood.
it's the Hollywood
right?
notion of she's over how old is she? She's in her
She's
50s?
born in '68, so she's the same age as my mom. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she's
Yeah.
over 50.
But
She
it's like as
can't
soon as
be
they
in
hit 40.
Yeah.
Well, she's also unfortunately like because Hollywood wants all these skinny women, and she's talked about this before. Like the fact that she's a larger woman doesn't allow her to get as many roles,
which is ridiculous.
awful. And when she does do her speeches, when she wins things like this year, she always makes sure to like talk about issues that are really big in the time period and call people out. And she calls people out very vividly. So she's made a lot of enemies that way. Even like in this past award she did at the SAG.
Right. Yeah, no, she's definitely a very outspoken in a positive way
Yeah.
woman. But yeah, I'd like to see more of her because I think it's a pity that she kind of gets typecast as like an aged woman now because I think she's shown her merit that she can go out there and do pretty much anything.
She's had long-standing series too. Like Medium, she was on for a long time.
Right.
CSI Cyber lasted longer than we remember. It was like 36 episodes over 3 seasons.
Oh, that was more than I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
see,
had
that's more than I
rewatched
thought.
it.
Okay, so let's move on to Sam. So Sam, what actor did you have?
I had Toby Jones, and unfortunately, same thing with like Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Some of the movies he's in and then out.
Okay,
So-
he's in and out. Gotcha.
One of the ones I watched was Finding Neverland. I swear he only had 2 lines. He's one of the actors in Johnny Depp's troupe when he's creating the Finding Neverland story for Peter Pan. Seriously though, if you watch this movie, at least 1 Kleenex box, please. I don't usually cry during movies, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
Lord
a
have
crier.
mercy.
No, that's a tearjerker.
So what's the premise of that one?
So basically, Johnny Depp's character is the person who wrote Peter Pan. He's depressed. He's not having a good time with his friend, his wife. He's not getting anywhere with his writing. All of his plays keep failing. But then he meets this woman who has 3 kids, and husband's also died by this point. And it's basically him becoming really close with one of the kids as well as the mother. One of the kids, because they had to grow up so quickly after their father died, he's very closed in, doesn't use imagination, and he really gets the character out and makes sure that he actually has imagination and can play and can still be a kid. Because Johnny Depp's character is still a kid at heart. And you get through the movie and you see the mother's getting sicker and sicker, and you kind of know what's going to happen. And Johnny Depp obviously has left his wife at this point. She goes and has an affair with another guy. Rip.
Oh.
And so by the end, the mother does pass. They end up staging the play Peter Pan inside the mother's house. And so she passes away, and then at the end, Johnny Depp takes care of all the 3 kids and becomes their dad, and it's very sad. But Toby,
That kind of sounds sad, yeah.
Toby Jones' character is in it for like 2 hot seconds. Is one of the actors in the play and says maybe 4 lines.
Oh,
Poor Toby.
poor Toby.
And he's like put in there as if he's a big billed actor, and I'm like, oh, okay, where are you coming in? Never. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
It was really good. Like, he did well. He was like visually there a couple times, but like this.
So for there, he was like his strong visual presence,
Yes.
but
And then the next movie was Chamber of Secrets, which he is a voice.
who is he the voice of?
Dobby. So basically the indentured servant or slave of Malfoy. Yeah.
Still, it's a very good voice.
Like, his voice acting is really, really well. Like, right now you're all seeing a lot more voice actors being in. And, like, a lot of them, which is some of the problems with certain movies, is they have no ability to actually get their emotion, and emotion is seen through their voice. So you end up with really, really bland...
Yeah, kind of flat performances.
Flat performances. You're like, oh, the character you're watching doesn't have any facial expressions. The voice has no intonation, and it sucks. But Toby Jones is not that.
Yeah.
You really can, like, feel Dobby's character's, like, emotions, what he's trying to do, over top of the not the greatest CGI in the world. It is dated.
Well, I was
it was
going to
good.
say, for the time, because CGI is starting to really take off when we're doing that movie.
It was
Like-
good for the time period, but now it doesn't hold up. But
Yeah.
if you watch it now, you still get those same sort of emotions coming out from it. He can really is able through his voice to be like, crap's coming, get it. Well, like, I know I can't tell you this, and I'm gonna have to injure myself, but come on, Harry Potter, don't be an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like really doing like his enunciation
But, like,
and stuff.
Yeah, Dobby has like a recognizable voice.
Well,
Like
yeah.
I remember
Does.
like being with my
And it
brother and
doesn't
sister.
Sound like Toby Jones, which
You know,
is good.
yeah.
Dobby's so free.
Yeah.
Harry Potter, stop being an idiot. Oh, thank you for the sock.
Yeah.
Anyways. So that was pretty good. Also watched 2 episodes of The Detectorist. Disclaimer. If you are an archaeologist, you're going to have a hernia. Other than that, it's pretty good. The premise of the show is basically 2 men from different walks of life who are both detectorists trying to locate hoards and different metal in the ground that are archaeological things. They assume if you find a hoard, you can sell it to the government and get a lot of money, so they're trying to find their fortune. But there's a lot of other issues. Toby Jones' character, Lance, is very... just trying to get through life in the way that he can. Doesn't really have many other ambitions other than can be a detectorist. He's fine working at his bottom-end job where he just moves around groceries at the grocery store. And will... stuff that's fallen out, when you transport it into place, he will take that home for food, even though it has tire marks on it.
Okay.
That was a very disturbing scene in the second
Have you
episode.
guys
I'm like,
Well, I think it's supposed to be funny because and then he invites like his best friend. He's like,
over.
"Oh, come over for dinner," and literally he's like wiping off the
goes,
tire marks. I'm
Oh
like,
no.
yeah,
But for food.
Oh
yeah.
no.
Mackenzie's Crook's character, Andy, I liked a lot more. He's kind of the one who really wants to like pursue archaeology and like actual type stuff legitimately.
So is Jones kind of like a has-been, or is he
He's
just
kind of like going through like a middle-age crisis.
Yeah.
Like his wife left him.
Okay.
With like this hippie guy, and he's still like doing chores for his wife and picking up like his in-laws.
It's very.
That's weird.
So it's sad.
It
you
doesn't
know?
really get into that in the first 2 episodes, but I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Lance, I was just kind of like, Lance, you have no redeeming qualities. If you get secondhand embarrassment easily, like I do, don't recommend it.
Okay, fair. So if you're
Yeah.
prone to the second-hand embarrassment,
And
probably not the
turning-
best option.
Yeah, if you turn red like a tomato, not for you.
yeah, but I find it's like very endearing. As you get into the series, you find out like he's
why
not
he
very
is.
happy. Like he's trying to be happy, but like being a detectorist is like his only salvation.
Yeah, like
So he's still in love with his ex-wife, who's clearly moved on.
Yeah.
His best friend is getting is in a strong relationship
and looking to move forward in his life.
Yeah, so he's kind of like stuck.
Yeah.
And then the only thing else that he has is a really cute scene. He actually sings, and I think he writes for the music for for the show.
Okay.
Nice.
But yeah, you just see him like in his living room, like playing on his little guitar.
Oh.
And it's very sweet. Like I feel like it does get better as the series goes along.
Okay.
So it's a cute little British series. But
yeah. It lasted for quite a while for a British series.
But it's also nice to see Toby in like a more lead role, like he's the main character in this.
Yeah, do you find like he's usually playing like secondary characters?
Secondary comedic characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I'll get into one of the movies I really liked from him about the fact that he's not a comedic character. And the next one that I saw was Don't Forget the Driver, which is brand new, just came out this year. It's really interesting. He plays two roles in it, actually, twins. Peter Green, which is the main character, and Barry Green. Barry Green is the twin brother who basically has GTFO'd off to Australia and has all the money, but Peter Green does not. So Peter's basically going through life, or am I getting the names backwards? There is a high possibility of that. No, okay, I'm getting the names right. So Peter.
So Peter's like the main Toby Jones.
Yeah, the main Toby Jones. He's a driver who just basically takes people to where they need to go of a bus. So sometimes it's contracted out to the older people who
like
go...
a party bus or like a
No,
city bus?
like neither.
Oh, okay.
You know like how you can like coach buses and you can rent them out and groups go in them, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so one episode he's taking them over to Dunkirk, a bunch of older people. He's clearly depressed through the entire series, and it starts off with him actually seeing a dead body of someone who died. I'm assuming later on in the series explains most of it. It's set in a post-Brexit world.
Okay.
So they go over to Dunkirk. He's used to driving those people. He often gets screwed over by his co-driver.
Mm-hmm.
His mother's ailing pretty badly, has dementia, and she has a tendency to be a bit racist towards her next door neighbors who aren't white. And he's trying to deal with that. His brother is helping, in quotation marks, from Australia, sending bed supplies to the mother, but in like ridiculous quantities. And because the mom's not thinking straight, she starts using them for other things.
Okay.
It's really good to see him in a leading role and taking on a role that's much more serious. But again, there's still these comedic elements to it to try, I think, lighten the fact that they're dealing with a lot of anti-immigration politics of the time and sentiment, a lot of issues with how people are treating people who are not British and how people think. He's actually the father of a mixed race daughter who's having a lot of time, and one of the issues actually is racism that she is experiencing in the small town that they live in. So it's a lot of topical issues that were happening at the time.
See, that's interesting, is I feel like that is very relevant, especially in Britain.
With Brexit.
With Brexit kind of looming still, and them having a lot of racial issues and tensions. Yeah. It's kind of... A, like you said, it's good to see him in a leading role, but B, also it's kind of good to see some TV show writers, I guess, not afraid to tackle issues that are talking about, being like, here are the things that are doing wrong, here are the things that we can kind of do better, and like, and here's kind of what the quote-unquote, even like the modern British family looks like.
Yeah, it's very topical, very interesting. I liked it a lot better than The Detectoress, and the fact that it's dealing with serious topics and not making light of it, and you still get to see him in a very serious role, leading actor, and then there's a comedic other side of his because he seems to do comedy a lot, which I was actually quite surprised.
Yeah. He doesn't strike me
as comedy. So, last one I saw was Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Seeing it.
Yes.
The cast, amazing.
Tell us about the cast.
Okay, my love. Mark Strong is in it. Yes, roll your eyes.
So for the audience, This is Sam's one in 2 men that are bald that she finds attractive.
Hey, the other one I don't find attractive. I just like his action scenes. Okay.
The other one is Jason Statham, if we're keeping count. But, anyways, so Mark Strong, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark Strong, Colin Firth, Tom Hardy, Toby Jones, obviously.
Yeah.
Who else?
Gary
Oldman.
Yeah.
Obviously.
A blonde Cumberbatch. What the hell?
Oh yes, a blonde Benedict Cumberbatch.
Who actually has a really major role in it as well. Like, and John Hurt for like a hot 2 seconds in flashbacks.
Yes.
It's a really, really strong cast. And the guy who plays Caesar in Rome. What's his name?
I always forget his name, but I know
I'm
who you're
sorry,
talking
dude.
about.
He
I'm
plays
sorry.
Caesar.
Actor
forever
from Rome
typecasted.
that I always forget your name.
Yeah, so basically it's in the 1970s. At this point, Britain's spy game kind of sucks, the big one. And so they're trying to get in the good graces of the Americans by having really good intelligence. But what you notice is that there's an issue, there's a mole, and it starts off from that very beginning that Peter... No, not that name. Let me just get the correct names up one moment, please. My brain just turned off. So we're going to ask IMDb to help me out. So Jim Purdue is Mark Strong's character, and he basically, what you think is he gets killed in the beginning.
Okay.
By the double agent. Turns out not quite killed. Severely injured and tortured, but he still lives.
Okay.
He lives! Who knew? Anyways, Toby Jones's character, Percy, he is taking over for the entire circus, which is what they are calling the leaders of the spy ring. And you have Gary Oldman's character, who is George Smiley, trying to figure out who the mole is.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're going through, what I really like about this movie is that you can't figure out who's the actual bad guy. I'm usually really good at figuring it out.
Yeah, so you're actually very good at being able, like, into the point where it annoys you, but you're very good at piecing together movies. And I always know it's a good spy movie if I've seen it and she's asking me questions, and I'm like, she doesn't know what it is yet. And I'm like, which means that they did a good job, because if she figured this out in 2 seconds, it means directors and writers go back to the drawing board and you didn't do a good one. So she was watching this yesterday, and she sent me a message, and she's like, is this who did it? And I'm like, I'm not telling you. She said, is that who did it? I'm like, I'm not telling you. And she's like, mean. So, yeah.
Confirm my suspicions.
Yeah, kudos to the director.
I was kind of right. It was one of them. One of them is from the High Ground Circle, giving grade A information to the Russians, directly to Carlo, which is the head of the KGB at the time. And it turns out to be Colin Firth's character.
No!
Yeah. And apparently he really, really liked Purdue, and Purdue really, really liked him. Yeah, we don't know. There's a lot of glancing eyes and gazing from other sides of dance floors and smiling pictures together. So I was like, are they? Who knows? Anyways.
Oh, the plot thickens.
The plot does thicken. So
I love a good
now
Lonnie.
I'm interested.
I love a good Lonnie glance. I love a good gay spy romance.
Toby Jones' character is now like the head of the entire circus. So he is fully in control of everything, and he's trying to sell it. Yeah, witchcraft is the best. It's giving us the greatest information. And meanwhile, he doesn't know, and he suspects that Peter, so Cumberbatch's character, is bad, and like starts screaming at him at some points. And I'm like, ooh, serious, scary Toby Jones. I didn't know you had it in you.
And Toby Jones is quite physically short, correct?
Yeah,
he's tiny. So it's like a little man like taking on a guy with Cumberbatch like over 6 feet.
He's huge.
Yeah, so Jones I think can be when you're given
intimidating.
Can be intimidating, can be a powerhouse.
Petrifying. I'm like finally seeing him like actually, even though he's not in it a lot, seeing him actually like in a power role. I was like,
like as opposed to like a meek sort of like I'll do what you say.
It's at the end you see him like visibly like distraught, walking through the rain, doesn't have an umbrella or anything because he realizes he just screwed over his entire country.
Right.
So it's really interesting. And in the end, our lovely character, who's played by Colin Firth, gets killed off by Mark Strong's character.
No.
Yeah. Shot in the head from a very far distance. In the book, apparently, his neck gets broken after walking.
I was going to say.
Yeah, because it connects to the fact that in the beginning, when we find out that, oh, yay, he's actually alive, a owl flies into the classroom where he's teaching on fire, and then he hits it down and breaks its neck because it's basically dead.
Right.
So you're like, that's a connection, but they decide to be very, very explicit and show him sniping him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so.
I was going to say, I read the book, but I did not know they were part of a series.
Yeah.
So they're all based on the John le Carre novels, and there's like 6 or 7 in them.
Yeah.
So like Spy that came in from the Ring, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and like there's a bunch of other Smiley's People, I think is another one.
Yeah, Smiley ends up at the end being once again the head of the circus.
So yeah. But like I kind of read them out of order, and I was like, what is going on? I'm like, why? I'm like, they just introduced that guy. Why is he dead? I don't understand.
This movie has made me want to go read the book.
Le Carre is he's a great detective author, hands down, yeah.
So it was actually really good. I enjoyed it. So since you've been asking the questions of everybody else, one that I probably would not recommend watching just because it's not my cup of tea is Detectress. I know Adriana loves it, but
we have a kerfuffle audience.
Also, can I just say Toby Jones won the BAFTA for Detectress?
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I get secondhand embarrassment like nobody's business. I turned red as a tomato. Ask Nicole.
This is true, audience.
What?
I don't know.
They're just. I want to be yelling at them. Get your shit together. No, I watch British television all the time, but comedies are not something I'm into. I find, especially when it's comedies based on like people being stupid.
Yeah,
I want to yell at the people on the television to get your shit together, or I'm going to drop kick you off the side of the cliff.
Did anything surprise you? Like, was there any of your movies that are like, oh wow?
Tinker Tailor. Hard Eyes, a great thing.
Fantastic cast.
Yeah,
it's a big cast.
I was sad that he wasn't in it as much in Finding Neverland. Again, I hadn't seen that one before, and I was just like, oh okay. And I really liked Don't Forget the Driver. Like, it was interesting. It was good. No secondhand embarrassment. Lots of issues that are relevant today. Probably will eventually go see the other 4 episodes. Eventually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was a good find too.
Yeah. Okay. And what'd you think of him overall as an actor?
He needs to do less comedy and more serious acting, because that's definitely, you can see how he's a powerhouse of an actor, but I find
he's never given that opportunity.
He's never given that opportunity. I feel like, and like comedy-wise, it often plays off of like the fact that he's smaller, shorter, and I just find like that's kind of like lazy writing.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah, they kind of use him as kind of like almost.
Yeah.
Like almost like the comedic humors and the fact that he's genetically short, and I was like, hey, I'm like, that's not nice. I'm like, he cannot help the way he looks or how tall he is, and you guys are just kind of making fun of him.
Exactly, like it's just very awkward and not greatest use of his abilities. I find in British films he does a lot more prominent roles, but in American films it's like, eh.
If they can get Peter Dinklage serious roles, like there's no.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah,
and like, but even with Peter Dinklage, like they started off in him being like that kind of
sort
short,
kind of comedic,
but like he's like, ain't nobody going to do that to me. Like he kind of asserted himself in a more way, and I would hope that Toby Jones could, but I guess maybe it's just.
I think he has evolved though, like
recently.
Like, first time I saw him was like Ever After, and he's like one of the Queen's henchmen again, you know. And then he's just kind of there for laughs, and he kind of has a thing with one of the stepsisters,
right? Yes,
and she's like, "Yeah, I'm only here for the food," and he's like, "Me too."
That'd be like mood, but
yeah. So
I think he's evolved from there. Yeah.
Hopefully, as more films like Don't Forget the Driver, it's a very serious one, and it's just come out this year, so maybe in the coming years he'll get better stuff. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, great. Anybody have any other sort of closing comments or things they'd like to add before you wrap up? Okay.
I think we're good.
Very interesting movies.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, we are going to be picking our second actors.
Yep.
There isn't really a sort of a sound effect for it. They just have our bingo ball roller, which you'll see on our Instagram account.
We could probably edit one in.
Yes.
An artificial sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
we're working on it.
cue the sound of the bingo roller. We will leave a nice little space here.
Okay.
And so, Nicole, your next person is, and be prepared for her shouts of glee and happiness, Rami Malek.
Yes! My boy, my son,
You're everything.
my everything.
If you can't tell, she really likes him. Anyways.
Plus.
Everyday gifts.
Everyday gifts, yeah. So, audience, Adriana and I send each other pictures of Rami Malek almost daily, and basically try to outwow each other with how beautiful and gorgeous
It's getting
he is.
hard to like find new photos of him without being a creeper.
Also, our lovely host, Nicole, has many people she likes to call baby, and that's
My
one
son.
of them, and my son.
Yes.
At last count, it was around 45, so if you hear it often, I'm sorry. Anyways.
Everybody's my son.
Adriana, round of applause, she has...
Marissa Tomei.
Excellent.
I love her. I'm actually super excited.
Now,
Yes.
so Jordan, you have Lance Hendrickson, which is... Who? What?
Bishop.
Thank you. Yes.
For those of you who don't know or do not know, Bishop is the greatest android of all time.
From the Aliens.
From the Alien
series.
franchise.
Cool. Anyways, I would have thought that would have been Connor, RK.
I said from the Alien franchise. From the Alien franchise.
Okay, I will give you that.
As much as I love Michael Fassbender.
And I have Clint Howard, who is the brother of
Ron Howard.
Oh,
Director
right.
Ron Howard.
He's famous by association.
Yeah, he's one of those, my brother is famous, so I'm famous type of people.
Why do we have him in?
Because he's one of our oddballs.
That was a former member who decided to throw in a, let's say, screw you.
Yeah, we have a couple, so we do have a couple screw you actors in there, so don't be
Sorry,
surprised
Sam.
if you hear some of the oddest names are spoken about often in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this about wraps us up. So join us next month on our second episode. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, recommendations. We'll put up our master list so you can see our progress. If you're saying like, hey, I really like this actor and they're not on that list, don't worry. We're going to create a back burner list. So other people that aren't there, we'll throw them on the list and they'll be in our next round. And we are going to be setting up our Instagram account, which will hopefully be up and rolling for our next sort of meeting, and we hope to see you next time. Bye.